Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Nazir daf Lamed Hey number 35. The whole daf seems to make a lot of sense until you get to the final words of Lamed Hey Amud Beis before the two dots. 4 lines from the bottom, 6 lines to 4 lines from the bottom, where the Gemara says, what's the difference between miyud v'riboy and prat v'klal? If I just had a miyud and then a riboy, right? Miyud excludes something, and Reba tells you, no, include everything, seemingly. And same thing, Prado Klal, which had not a Prado Klal, Prado Klal, Prado specific, and a Klal, not a Klal, most of all Prado. The general thing adds on to the Prado specific. Basically, I would say, if you have something specific and then you have a general rule, the specific is just an example of the Prado, right? So everything is included, right? So what's the difference between that and Miyud for Reba? Miyud excludes something, Reba includes everything. What's the difference? So the Gemara says, "My ika ben miyad riba the klal ika." The Gemara says, "The ilu prat v'klal marbin afilu aliv ulavin." If it was just prat v'klal, it happens according to the Rabbanan. It's not. It's prat v'klal prat. They darshan it. So therefore, they don't include alin and lula. Both things, alin and ulavin, are not part of the isurim for nazir. If it was just prat v'klal, it would include both alin and ulavin, both the shoots and the leaves, right? Miyad v'ribu ulavin in alin lo. However, it was just miyad v'riboy. If it was just exclude something, and then to include something, I wouldn't include everything. I would only include the lulavin, the shoots, but I would not include the leaves. The leaves are extraneous; they're not part of the vine so much. So therefore, Nazir ate those from the grapevine. He wouldn't be liable. He wouldn't be chayiv malchus for eating those things. It wouldn't violate an isser. The obvious problem with this Gemara is that Rebbe Lezer in the Mishnah, when we explain Rebbe Lezer in the Mishnah, he subscribed exactly to this miyad v'riboy. And he says, based on Miyad v'riboy, I'm answering both Alin and both Ulavin. How can the Gemara say Ulavin and Alin lo? How can the Gemara say that? Right? He subscribed, he didn't say it's Miyad v'riboy and Miyad. He said Miyad v'riboy. And I'm answering both. So what do you do with this over here? How does Rebbe Lezer make sense over here according to the end of the Gemara? So there's different answers. The footnote number 17 in the article on 35b2 brings two different answers. Tosfos' answer is there's two different types of leaves. There's leaves that are hard leaves, and there's soft leaves. And here we're talking about the harder leaves, which are similar to the woody stems, which are not included, even according to the Lezer. And here we're talking the soft, and here we're talking about the harder leaf, and the Gemara before was talking about the soft leaves. Soft leaves are comparable to the shoots, and the shoots are both asr. That's Tos's answer. The Rashba says you have to change the girsa. Change the girsa over here. And miyad v'riboy includes both lulavin and alin. And pradu klal, lulavin in, alin lo. Just change what we're talking about. But I don't like to change the girsa. And Tos's answer is hard because the same words, alin and lulavin, were said before, and now we're switching a meaning over what type of alin there are. So I have a different answer. And it's based on reading of the Gemara, careful reading of the Gemara on Daf Lamed Hey Amud Aleph. Because the Gemara at the top of Lamed Hey Amud Aleph says, where we started from today, the last word in the first line, right? According to Elizabeth ben Azariah, who's quoted in the Mishnah, that normally in order, when you eat things that are asr for a nazar, the shear is a kazayas. However, when it comes to eating the grape seeds and the peel, you have to specifically eat 2 seeds and 1 peel. That's the concoction you have to eat according to Elizabeth ben Azariah. So where does he learn it from? Karsan Mizag was already stolen by the Rabbanan to be Pradu Kladu Pral. Pradu Kladu Prat. Pradu Kladu Prat. The second Prat is Karsan Mizag. So you need it for that. You can't use it Karsan Mizag. So the Gemara's first answer is to say Rebbe Lezer holds, Elizabeth Azariah holds like Rebbe Lezer. Right? He doesn't darshan. Rebbe Lezer darshans miyud v'riboy. Right? He doesn't darshan miyud v'riboy v'miyud. He's not darshaning Karsan Mizag as the second miyud. So he's not using it, so you can use it Chartan and Madzag. And the Gemara's second answer is no, technically it could even be according to the Rabbanan, right? And the fact that it said Chartzanim Vadzag, Chartzanim is plural and Zag is singular, it could have said Chartanim Vadzagim or Chartzan Vadzag. Why did it say it that way? So Shmami not Tarti, you learn 2 things from that. I'm willing to say, at this point in the Gemara, the second answer of the Gemara, just like in the Rabbanan, we can say, right, Chartzan and Mazag is extraneous. You can learn 2 things from the second prat. I'm willing to say the Gemara is even changing according to Rebbe Lezer. According to Rebbe Lezer, the Gemara is changing. That It's possible to say according to Blazer, even though the Gemara explained according to Blazer, he darshans miyud v'riboy, right? It's possible that Blazer darshans. Why didn't he darshan miyud v'riboy v'miyud? Right? Why was the Gemara reluctant to say according to Blazer that he darshans miyud? The pasuk says miyayin v'sheichar miyud, right? Mikol sheyasa v'gefen hayayin riboy, right? Mechartan mazag, which is exclusionary, it's specific. Right? Why didn't he darshan miyud v'riboy v'miyud? Why is he darshaning miyud v'riboy and not miyud? So it must be the Gemara, like the first answer of the Gemara felt there has to be a place for Elazar and Nazir Yeshita in the Mishnah. But once we come on to the second answer of the Gemara, that at this point, right, you can shmam not tarte, you can learn two things because it's said in an unusual way, kartzanim plural, zag singular. So therefore it's possible to say according to Elazar, he goes back to miyud v'riboy v'miyud. So what's the difference between miyud v'riboy and miyud v'riboy v'miyud? So if you say miyud v'riba, so miyud is excluding something, riboy is including something. So I have, forces going against each other. Miyud excludes something, riboy is including something. So we side with the riboy partially, and we include as much as we can. And that's what the Gemara says over here at the end. The Gemara says miyud v'riboy. We only include lulavinin, al lo. We'd include something. We'd have to exclude something. The miyud would exclude something. What would exclude? Leaves. Right? It would include, riboy is used to include something we wouldn't have thought about, right? Include something else, lulavin, right? And the leaves, which are less similar to the actual grapes, because they're just not extraneous, they're actually growing in the clusters of grapes, they're extraneous to the cluster of grapes. So then those would be excluded. That's the miyud. But now, once the Gemara, right, when the Gemara said originally, right, when explaining the machlokas on Daf Lamed Dal, the Elazar held miyud v'riboy, really, it's based on our Gemara and Lamed Hey. He really held miyud v'riboy v'miyud, and the Gemara didn't say it. At that point, the Gemara was reluctant to say it. But once the Gemara switches it, according to Rabbanan, you say klal prad, and kartan mazdak is included. So based on according to Elazar, we say miyud v'riboy v'miyud. What does that help? Because when we have two miyutim, right, the Gemara says miyud achar miyud and al rabos. The Gemara says if you have a miyud and two miyutim, right, a miyud achar miyud, the Gemara says al rabos. So therefore, we include two things. The ribo is including one thing, the lovin, and miyud achar miyud including a second thing. According to Elazar, it's including, right, even the alin. And according to the Rabbanan are saying if it's prad of klal, right, it's just prad of klal. So that's different than ribo and miyud. There's prad of klal, it's a specific case. And klal is a general rule. So if I just had those, nasa klal, most of al prad, the klal would tell me, right, well, the first case, the prad is specific, it's an example. And the klal is a general rule. So it's just the reason the Torah gives a specific example, I wouldn't have known what's included in the general rule. Let's give me an example. What type of things are we talking about? But generally, we just go with the klal. It's not riboy and miyud where you have one thing excluding, one thing including. So you have to include one thing extra and exclude something. No, it's an example. It's an example. It's not excluding something. It's an example. That's why prad klal prat tells me, no, when you have the second time repeating the prat, right, or even klal prad klal, right, they're repeating a klal to tell you, the Torah is telling you something extra. The Torah is telling you the prat is not just a specific example, it's the thing. It's the thing. Because we have klal involved, the klal prad klal, or you have prad klal prat, so the klal comes and adds something else. But really, the main thing is the prat. The main thing is specific. It's not just an example. It is the thing. It is the thing we're talking about. You can add on a little bit, but you can't add on so much. So therefore, if you just had prad klal, we'd include al lovin. And similarly, riboy and miyud v'riboy v'miyud would include al nulavin, which is true according to Elazar. But if you had prad klal prat, then you wouldn't include neither lovin and neither alin, because they're not similar to grapes or grape seeds in two different ways, only in one different way, and that's why they wouldn't be included. I hope you enjoyed today's share. A little complicated, but I think it makes a lot of sense. See you in the next one.